Magic Johnson walked into a doctor's office as one of the most famous athletes on earth. He walked out believing he might die. He was 32 years old, a five-time NBA champion, a husband, a father, and suddenly, basketball meant absolutely nothing. The diagnosis was HIV. This was 1991, when those three letters terrified the world. Magic thought his future had just disappeared. But here's what almost nobody expected. The day that seemed to end Magic Johnson's life would eventually give him a mission bigger than basketball. And stay until the end, because what he chose to do when millions of people expected him to disappear may be the greatest victory of his entire life. Not a championship, not an MVP, something much bigger. Before that moment, Magic seemed untouchable. He had transformed basketball. The smile, the no-look passes, the championships, the rivalry with Larry Bird. Los Angeles adored him. Children wanted to be him. Then, during a routine physical before the 1991-92 season, something appeared in his blood tests. Magic was called back from a preseason trip. More tests followed. Then came the words he never expected to hear. He had tested positive for HIV. At the time, HIV was surrounded by fear, misinformation, and stigma. For many people, the diagnosis felt like a death sentence. Magic later recalled thinking about how much time he might have left. And suddenly there was another terrifying question. How do you tell the world? Then came the press conference. Magic sat in front of the cameras. Reporters waited, and he said it. He was retiring from the Lakers because he had HIV. The sports world froze. This wasn't just another athlete announcing an injury. This was Magic Johnson. Strong, famous, successful, and heterosexual, something that challenged widespread misconceptions about who could contract HIV. Millions watched as fear suddenly acquired the face of someone they knew. But then Magic said something extraordinary. He wasn't going to disappear. He intended to fight, and he wanted to educate people about HIV. That promise would become far more important than anyone in that room could have known. The announcement didn't magically erase prejudice. When Magic attempted to return to basketball, fear followed him onto the court. Some players worried about competing against someone living with HIV. People didn't understand the virus the way we do today. Rumors spread, judgment followed. But Magic kept appearing, kept talking, kept allowing people to see something many had never seen before. A person living with HIV who was still strong, ambitious, and very much alive. Then came the 1992 NBA All-Star Game. Magic returned, and against some of the greatest players in basketball, he delivered an unforgettable performance and was named the game's MVP. But even that wasn't the victory that mattered most, because something much larger was already happening away from the scoreboard. Magic realized his fame could do something basketball never could. It could force people to listen. Through the Magic Johnson Foundation, he expanded his work around HIV/AIDS awareness, testing, and education while also supporting underserved communities. He spoke publicly about prevention. He challenged stigma. He encouraged people to get tested. And his visibility helped change the conversation. Think about the irony. The diagnosis Magic initially feared would make people turn away from him became the reason millions paid attention. The man once celebrated for assists on a basketball court was now helping people in an entirely different way. But there's another part of this transformation. Magic didn't stop at HIV advocacy. He invested in communities that major businesses had often overlooked. Jobs, businesses, educational opportunities, community development. His second act was becoming enormous, and it had almost nothing to do with basketball. Years passed, then decades. The frightening future Magic imagined in 1991 never arrived in the way he feared. Medical advances transformed HIV treatment. Magic continued living publicly with the virus. He became an entrepreneur, an advocate, a philanthropist, a father watching his family grow. And every year he remained visible carried a message that was especially powerful in the early years. HIV did not erase the person. That's difficult to appreciate today. But in 1991, simply seeing Magic Johnson continue living mattered. He had once entertained millions. Now his life itself was challenging what millions believed. Remember what I promised you at the beginning? The greatest victory of Magic Johnson's life may not have happened inside an arena, because championships proved he could win basketball games. November 7, 1991 tested whether he could turn fear into purpose. He could have hidden. He could have disappeared. Instead, he stood in front of the world and said, "I'm going to fight this." Then he spent decades proving it. His openness helped challenge stigma. His advocacy helped bring attention to HIV education and testing. His foundation invested in people and communities. And the man who once wondered whether his life was ending discovered that an entirely new chapter was beginning. That's the part of Magic Johnson's story worth remembering. Sometimes everything changes, and what looks like the end becomes the moment you discover what you're really here to do. If this story changed the way you see Magic Johnson, stay with us. Because on See Beyond the Spotlight, we uncover the side of extraordinary people that fame alone can never explain. And tell us in the comments, who should we uncover next? Your suggestion could become our next documentary. Come back for the next hidden story. Because behind the trophies, the fame, and the headlines, there is always a human being. Every legend has a story. We uncover the one the world rarely sees.